All right. So as you all know, product research is going to be on mobile. And I consider it going to be my new best friend when I go sourcing, because we can go now beyond the 90 days that you're going to get by performing a sold search. You'll be able to see the fair market value of your item. And you can actually list an item right from product research with Sell One like this. You can have the same functionality as you do on desktop, where you can remove search results that aren't quite the same as your item so that you can take out any outliers. You can search by a preset date range or a custom number of days up to the last 3 years. And then you can sort your results by what matters most to you. And so let's go into the demo. To access product research, click on the Selling tab at the bottom right-hand corner of your eBay app. You'll scroll down just a little bit under Tasks and Drafts if you have any, and you'll see Product Research. Click on Get Started, and you'll get to your research page. Enter keywords, a model number, or other product identifiers into the search bar. As you can see, I've searched Titleist TSR2 10-degree driver. I can choose to select a category if I would like to, but at this point, I just want to see a broader set of results. So I'm just going to click search without selecting a category. I'll go ahead and do that later. From my search, I'm seeing the last 90 days of sold data on eBay, and I can see that this average selling price was $379.47, and it's trending down about 4.4% over the last 90 days. The sold price range for this club was about $270 to $529, with an average shipping charge of about $16, and 21% of the transactions offered free shipping. There were 53 total clubs sold by 44 sellers for a total item sales of $20,000. Now, I think I want to refine my search a little better. So instead of all categories, I want to look just in golf clubs. So I'm going to click on the category selector and I'm going to choose golf clubs. And because my item is used, I only want to see used clubs. And as you can see, the average sold price has changed. I also have the option to choose by listing format too, and it's auction, buy it now, or best offer, but I really don't, that doesn't matter for pricing for me. I just really want to see all of them regardless of the buying format that they were listed in. So after I've done this change, I kind of want to see the trends. So I can click on Show Trend Details, and I can see if there's any seasonality here. I'm only looking at 6 months or 3 months here. I'm going to go back and look at 6 months because I want to see if there's any more seasonality here. So rather than choosing 90 days, I'm going to go up here and edit and choose the last 6 months and see if that changes at all. And the average sold price is a little bit higher for a 6-month period than it was for a 3-month period. And I'm going to go back and look at the trend details and see that it is pretty steady. There are some spikes for the higher priced items, but it is still relatively steady over the last 6 months. And every time you change your duration or your category, all of these numbers are going to change based on the criteria that you have selected. And moving down to the recently sold items, I can see that there's one here that's sold for $355, another for $455. But I actually want to know a little more about the one that sold for $550. So I'm going to use this little sort option here on the right-hand side, and I am going to select the highest price. I want to see that $549 one to see if it's actually a match to mine. So I'm going to click on these 3 little dots, and from here, I have an option to, in this case, the only thing I can do is exclude the listing because it's more than 90 days old. And so I'm not going to be able to see the detail, but I'm guessing maybe this isn't quite mine. So I'm going to exclude this listing. And then you'll see that it is taken out of the search results. And it didn't change it much, but it changed it a little bit. So let's look at one that was sold a little more recently. And I click on these three dots and I have three different types of actions I can take. I can view the item because it was sold less than 90 days ago. I can still exclude this listing, or I can also sell one like this, again, because it was sold less than 90 days ago, or the item is still active because maybe the seller had more than one. So in this case, let's click on View Item, and it will take you to the a page where you can open up and see the original listing. And then I can see if this listing, this $480 club, if it happened to match mine, and if it's an apples to apples comparison or not. So in this case, I'm going to choose this one here, this Titleist TSR2 10 degree Ventus red. This seems to match mine. I am going to sell one like this. And I click the sell one like this, and it will create a draft for me, or I can do just like sell one like this within the selling flows too. You can, update your photos, edit the listing, and you can save your draft, or you can publish it if you're done. In this case, I'm going to close it. This is just one of millions of examples, and you can see that product research is a great tool, which you literally now have in your back pocket, that can help you more competitively price your items. And when you're outsourcing, help you in making your buy or not buy decisions. So yeah, let the questions come. Let me know what you think. And like I said earlier, this is an early application. We're going to be adding features as we go along. But again, it was really critical for us to get this in your hands sooner rather than later. So we've decided to do this. Release it with what we have. And like I said earlier, sell-through rate, I know, super important metric that drives some of your decisions of whether to source something or not. And we are working hard to get that in as well. And the questions about when will this release, it will be coming out in the coming weeks. We're not giving an exact date yet, but please make sure you are on the latest version of your app, because you are going to need that in order to be eligible. And I talked to our engineers, and we're making sure that by virtue of you attending the seller check-in, we wanted to make sure that you all are the first ones to get access to this, because as you know, when we bring out products, we typically will have we ramp them up slowly to make sure that there's no problems. And so we want to make sure that you are part of that early ramp, and then you can have access. Another thing I wanted to bring up too is we will be launching this on the US, UK, Australia, and German sites first, and then we will be bringing it out to the other sites for where product research is available today via desktop. So I'm going to try and go back to some of these questions. I don't know if you were asking questions while the demo was on. Just wanted to see here. I'm looking through your questions. I see another one asking for barcode scanner. Again, for those of you who weren't in when I had spoke about it earlier, yes, we absolutely know that barcode scanners are expected now when we're working with mobile apps. That is a feature that we would be releasing in the future. Again, just wanted to get the base product in folks' hands earlier rather than later, because of the fact that we know that, especially with long tail items, like I'm a collectibles seller, and so not everything I've sold or that I'm going to sell, I know in many of you, we sometimes can't find that in the sold filter when you're using regular search, and so now it'll just at least give that to you when you're out and about. And again, we'll be releasing additional features. And let's see if so on the sold items, so I'm just going through the questions here. On the sold items, there's a see original listing like this on a laptop. So yes, so how the nature of something that's been sold is eBay keeps it for 90 days. That's how you know that. That's why on search you only go back 90 days. but that listing will still be available where you can see the details up to those last 90 days. So while you may have to take an extra click to say, see the original listing, you will be able to get into it, much like the functionality is pretty much the same as it is on desktop. And what else here? Let me go through this stuff. I'm sorry, I'm just catching up on while I was watching the video with you. I wanted to make sure. Well, sell one. So, here's a good question about when you sell one like this. Does it also transfer business policies? I'm guessing that's a good question. I don't know the answer to it, but because it's your listing, it should transfer your business policies, but it's always a good idea, because I know that I want to make sure that just because the sell one like this I used does not offer free shipping, because personally I don't offer free shipping, so I make sure that my shipping policy is there. And quite frankly, every time I've seen a sell one like this, it did transfer over my business policy, where I see the default shipping that I like to use, and the fact that I use calculated shipping. Many questions in here about when this will be available. The closest timeline that I'm comfortable with giving you right now is it's definitely in the coming weeks. This is not months away. It's in the coming weeks. Please keep an eye out for it. Definitely make sure you have the latest app. That's one of the things that we see a lot. Like, we get comfortable with our app and there's an update, and I might be 2 updates behind, but let's just make sure that you're all on the latest version. And Elaine, thank you. Yes, I agree that it is absolutely a game changer while we're outsourcing. One thing is, I am one of you. I am a seller. I love to do this. My weekends are spent usually outsourcing. I source more than I list, unfortunately. So of course I have a profit pile that needs to be addressed. So, yeah, and I'm so looking forward to using this the first time. I might even actually go out and do a little sourcing after work tonight, just so that I can use it and try it out, see what happens. Let's see what else, if there's any other questions. So Brenda, I don't want to ignore your question. I don't necessarily know that I have the answer. It says, I have a question. I sell fine jewelry, which has very few brands and endless variations and styles. It makes research difficult because it's difficult to group up by listings. Any suggestions? One of the things I want to mention about product research is our search is a little bit different than what you see when you're doing a search via the buyer, which just normal search. Our search is a little more stringent, so it's a little more exacting. So if you have a brand, definitely put it in there. If you think having brand in there might eliminate some of the results, then you might want to leave it out at this point. But it is a little more of an exact search than regular search is. Okay. Let's see what other questions. Trying to get to some here. Sorry, I'm a little, like I said, I'm way behind here. Yeah, this is funny. Yeah, I agree. Yard sale season is starting soon here. Same in California, although we're having some. I mean, even on weekends when there's rain, we still have our flea markets. And but this is California, so our rain might be a little different than everybody else's rain. And it says, will this feature be available for everyone or only for those who have a store subscription? So that was one of the things I wanted to mention that was really clear. A long time ago, when I say a long time ago, like 3 years ago, you had to have a store subscription or you had to pay for Terapeak. It's been free for about the last 3 years now. I think April of 2021 is when it became free for everybody. And so, yes, it's going to remain free for everybody. This is not something that you need a store subscription for. A lot of people don't know about it today because they're not using Seller Hub. They use My eBay. But if you are on Seller Hub, you have access to it today. So you just go to the research tab in Seller Hub, and the first option will say Terapeak product research. And from there, you'll get a search box, and you can start searching away. So if you're not on Seller Hub, feel free to opt into Seller Hub. It's a great tool. There's a lot of features there for helping manage your business that you may not find in a regular My eBay. But again, you do not need a store. It's open for everybody. It will be open even for more folks now that it's going to be on the app, because there's many people who are not using Seller Hub today. So now you don't even have to have Seller Hub in order to get it on the app. Okay. Let's see, what else? Okay. So, this is a really good question. Do buyers who use the eBay app, will they have access to this? Technically, yes, they would, because but they're only they would have to go to the Sell tab to see it. So if they're on the regular homepage and you perform a search from eBay, the little house icon that's on the far left, they're going to get into regular search. There's no access to this type of search from there. You actually have to be in the selling components of My eBay and of the app. And there's a couple of ways, and I learned recently, and it never occurred to me. I found out some people access the selling features in the app from going to the My eBay icon and then clicking on selling, which then in turn takes you to that, what we call the selling tab in the app, which is at the far right-hand side. So buyers will not default by default will not see this. That will not be their search. This is not embedded in there. But I do have a question when you ask this question. Are you worried that buyers are going to see what historically the item sold for, and then they're going to expect that price if it might have been lower than yours? I'm curious as to know. So if that was the reason. Ooh, my lights went out in the room I'm in. I got to move around a little bit to let it know I'm not. I'm still here. Yeah, let's see if there's any more. So Paul, you said, I wish the app had Seller Hub. Yes, a lot of us do, right? And we are working to be bringing in more of the features that are in Seller Hub today. Again, it's an iterative process, but yeah, we know that a lot of people these days really personally, myself, I do all of my management on my phone, and very rarely do I go to my laptop to do anything, because I like the convenience of my phone. So yeah, the more of the Seller Hub features that are available in the app, and we'll definitely be passing that information on to the folks who manage our Seller Hub. And Roy, you had a question about, can we watch these breakouts again on you won't be able to see them on Seller Hub, but you will have access to these breakouts as well as the main presentation. After this is over, we will be making them available again for people. So Lisa, you said, I would love to see an eBay app for sellers and an app for buyers. That's similar to what Catherine talked about. I don't know if you saw her. She was part of the lightning round, but that's the goal of what we're talking about. Sell mode is breaking up the buying versus the selling experience with just a click of a button to tab over, so that you don't have to have a separate app, but you'll be able to go in between those two experiences, whether you want the buying experience or the selling experience. And Winston, you wanted to know how to access Seller Hub. You know what? Just go to what I do. Just do a search for eBay Seller Hub, and then it will take you to the page about it. And then from there, you can actually opt into Seller Hub and instead of My eBay. But that's the best way if you're not already using Seller Hub. And just trying to. So Timothy, you're saying, I received so many unnecessary offers from sellers who think I'm an interested buyer when I've clicked on an item in Terapeak or reaching out on the mobile app. Well, interestingly enough, I want to address that, because a sold item, when you're accessing something on what Terapeak from Seller Hub, those are sold items, and they're a sold item should never trigger an offer. If you're doing research and if you're within the normal search and you're looking at items that are active, that can potentially trigger an offer from a seller if you've viewed it a certain number of times or you've shown a lot of interest in the item. But a sold item should not actually be triggering any sort of offer from a seller. So I'm glad you brought that question up, because apparently someone else had brought that up earlier too. So there shouldn't be any case where you're seeing that. Let's see. If you're passing on Seller Hub requests, pass on enhancement to best offers and see the whole history of an offer on the web. Okay, so that was Michael Leary. So the team that manages that is also part of the same selling team that I'm on, and so I will definitely pass that along. Some of those people might actually be in here too. We have a number of other eBay folks from the selling team who are helping here as well, where they're answering questions if you have any. And I'm realizing now that I have been in chat instead of Q&A. So hopefully some of my colleagues are answering these questions in Q&A. So I'm gonna look over here in Q&A too to see if something has not been replied to. Jeffrey, I know you asked this question a little bit back, but any chance that that all of us can get early access since we're so excited for it? Yes, that is the plan. So everybody who has attended or registered for this the seller check-in, we do plan on getting your user IDs, the one that you used for registering to this event. We do plan on getting you early access. We're like I had mentioned earlier, I don't know if you missed this part, but when we roll out new products, we typically don't just do it to everybody. We don't roll them out to everybody all at the same time. We'll do a ramping of more and more sellers as we go along, but we're going to make sure that anybody who attended the check-in has early access. You will be part of the first group of sellers who have access. We want to thank you for participating in these. We always love to have you, and so it's our little gift to you to get you early access. Let's see. So Brenda, so you had a question is, can you search by product specs instead of just the title? There's a problem with titles not containing whether or not it's gold-plated versus 100% versus gold-plated versus 100% karat gold. The ability to filter on some item specifics, those sorts of things, those are features that will come later. You do still have that ability on on desktop. If you choose a category of jewelry, the item specifics that you'll see that you can perform filters on the right-hand side of the desktop, you'll be able to provide more filters. The other thing you can do is to exclude something. A little trick is you can put a minus in front of the word, so that way any listings with, say, gold plated will not show up in your results. It's just a little trick to remove any listings that have that. Okay. So Teresa, yeah, you're saying even if you're a little seller and not yet a store, yes, there's no store requirement for this. Just let's be really clear. I don't want anybody, there's no barrier for you to access product research. And when you're accessing it from mobile, you don't even have to be opted into Seller Hub. You don't have to use Seller Hub. Everybody, Seller Hub users and my eBay users will still have access. No store needed. There's nothing at all preventing you from accessing this. And it is, again, it's free. Back in the day, Terapeak it was behind a subscription, or you had to pay for it separately. That has not been the case for several years now, and it will remain free it's free. Okay. Let me see some other questions here. Oh, interesting. It looks like some of the I don't know if I'm seeing some of the same questions in Q&A as they are in chat. So perhaps people are putting them in both before. And please, actually, the right way to have done this from the beginning was ask questions in Q&A. If you want to chat with other sellers, of course, just leave it in a chat. But if you have a question for me or our team here, please go ahead and put the questions in the Q&A. Okay, and I'm going to keep scrolling through here. Again, I see a lot of questions about an actual launch date. I can't exactly tell you exactly what the date's going to be because it's within plus or minus a couple of days at this point. So I don't want to, but suffice it to say it will be in the coming weeks, not months, in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out. Let's see. Okay. Question. Joseph, we really get access soon? Yes. Well, it depends on what your definition of soon. Tomorrow, no, it's not going to be tomorrow. But like I said, keep an eye out in the coming. It's a matter of weeks. So please keep an eye out. And Eileen, you're asking, you stepped away. Did I say that brand is not important in the title as before? If you want to have your the best match, I would always put brand in, because one brand can, brand is important. If you're talking Louis Vuitton versus Walmart brand, you're going to have a big difference in price. So I always use brand whenever I have it, because we've all been trained that it's important to put brand in the titles of our listings. And we largely use the title of the listing in order to determine if your item is the sold items are a match to your search. Okay. And someone, so I'm going to read your question live, Eileen. I haven't read it all in advance. So it says, this is a comment I posted before the session started. Photographing with a mobile app to source listed price listed sold on eBay app results are not the best, so I have to use Google Lens and then see if there were any eBay items in the results. Then I have to visit a page or seller and copy the title and paste into eBay search to find a better result. So, as our image search, I've actually found, interestingly, I've actually found items on eBay when I've used eBay image search that I didn't find in Google in some cases. So I think it can go both ways. But as you know, this is new AI technology, and as we go along, we're making it better and better as we go. So hopefully over time you will start to see, and you can test it out as soon as we get this in our app as well. And any plans on making prepaid offers mandatory? That's actually a work in progress with our team. I know I've seen more and more where I've sent an offer or when I've accepted an offer from a buyer that it immediately was paid. And I, as a buyer, interestingly enough, I was buying a pair of shoes the other day and I made an offer, and I was required to make sure that all of my credit card was there, and it was very clear that it was going to charge me, that if the seller accepted my offer, I was going to be charged. So that is becoming more and more common. But again, that's not my area of expertise. I can only tell you from my own experience of what I've seen. Okay. Let's see. So Allie, I'm going to go back 5 minutes on the chat here. It says, new reseller here. What's the most important thing to look for in product research? I've heard a lot about the sell-through rate. Can you explain this? That's an excellent question. So sell-through rate is going to tell you a little bit about how fast you might expect to sell it. Sell-through rate works for searches which are for 90 days ago or less. Even on desktop, you'll see that you only see the sell-through rate. So for instance, if there are 100 items that are live on the site and 50 of them sold, that's about a 50% sell-through rate. And so what product research does is it does that computation for you. I know that I've learned this also recently too, because I had never used it, but now I will. When I only could rely on the eBay solds when I was out and about and needed a quick number of just to get an idea of what sold in the last 90 days, that we have on the active listings, you'll see the total number at the bottom. And then on the sold listings, you'll see the total number at the bottom. So people were doing quick mental math to say, oh, okay, there's 100 of them on the site today and only 3 of them sold. So you have a 3% sell-through rate. So that might make people pause and not buy that item to source, because they can expect it's going to take a little while to turn over, especially given there might be a lot of competition, but then not a lot of sales. And so that's what sell-through rate is. And that's one of the key features that people really like about product research, because when there's a vast amount of data, we do all that math for you and you don't have to figure that out. And that is something we're working hard to get in a future release of this product research on mobile, because again, we know that's one of the key things everybody really likes about it. I hope that answers your question, Eileen. Okay, let's see. Teresa, is this going to be available in beta to test in the mobile and laptop? Well, everything's already available on the laptop. So it's a matter of the version that we're giving you is not a beta version. It's a fully tested production version that you're going to get. And so you'll be able to access it from, if you have an iPhone or Android phone, you'll be able to access when we launch in the next few weeks. So you also said, I use the eBay app on my iPhone to process sold listings to pick up only. I use laptop for all else. I'm not sure what that means. So you're looking at sold listings. Oh, where also local pickup was the only option. Yeah, that's not a filter that you'll be able to use initially with product research. But that's a good one if you were interested to know. But keep that in mind. And let's see if there's other questions here that I missed. And let me see if nope. Just seeing if there's any other questions that have come in elsewhere. Does anybody have any more questions? Yeah, Denise, yeah, you're mentioning you can't add videos on the mobile app. I hear you. It's something we're well aware of. That is a regular ask. Videos have been, in my opinion, have been a real game changer, especially when you sell collectibles and you really need to show something working, or you want to show flaws, or you want to be a little more explicit than just the 24 photos that you get. Yeah, I'll make sure that I pass that along. But again, it's a very known thing that being able to post a video via the app selling flows is something we all want. So Eileen, you said, see my previous about sold listings not showing up. I'm not sure. So I don't know what you mean by not showing up. If it's in our system and it hasn't been removed for some policy violation, it should show that. And Eileen, one of the things, like, you know, to compute actual sell-through rate, I mean, again, it's our results are only going to be if they match the search criteria for the keywords you've put in or the filters that have been put in. So if you're saying that you know if something was really sold but it didn't show up in a search, I'm not quite sure how to address that. But to calculate sell-through rate with the data that we've been given, and you know, let's just say you're looking for, like I said, a Titleist driver, the one I used in the demo example. So long as it met that search criteria, we're going to be able to show you all of what is active and all of what's sold. And then at the very bottom, you'll see the number. This is today in the solds, I'm not talking about on product research. With product research, we'll just tell you the number. We're not going to make you do any kind of mental math on your own. Okay. Lisa, okay, you have an example here. I recently did a search for Ethan Allen porcelain hand-painted tulip lamp and nothing came up in Terapeak. It was a bit perplexing as I'm sure others had sold. Curious why there's nothing populating in a 3-year search. You might have been too specific. So Terapeak search is a lot more exacting than our regular search. So you'll see that if you might have, if you had removed some of those keywords, you might have, you just remove a couple things, like maybe just put Ethan Allen painted tulip or tulip lamp. Try that and you might get better results is what I would say. Okay, and thank you. I'm happy that you joined this session. Don, I think that I think there's a follow-up email that eBay sends out, and it should have links to the other sessions, and so that you can go back and you can see the full presentation, I believe, as well as the other sessions. So Margie, okay. Okay, Margie, I'm going to go back to your question that you had. You said go back. I stopped using, I hope this is the question. I stopped using the photo search option in the eBay app because it would not then allow me to add photos to my drafts. It was a known glitch in the last update. I had to uninstall and reinstall the app and stop using photo search in the app. Has this been resolved? I don't know the answer to that question. I will bring it to my colleagues. All of these questions that are being asked are noted, and so they'll get put to the right group who can answer this question, because I actually don't know that answer. That would be part of our search team. And thanks for joining, Eileen, if you're leaving. Pamela, so if you were in another session, I'm happy to replay the demo again if you guys would like to see it. Would you guys like to see the demo again? For those who are still here, I see there's about 53 people still here. If some joined late, just let me know in the via the Q&A or the chat if you would prefer to see it again. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm seeing it in the chat. Yes, please. Okay, I think I have enough yeses that I am going to replay the demo for you then. Okay, just give me 2 seconds while I want to get this up again. I think I might have closed it out, and I'll go back to it for y'all. To access product research, click on the Selling tab at the bottom right-hand corner of your eBay app. You'll scroll down just a little bit under Tasks and Drafts if you have any, and you'll see Product Research. Click on Get Started, and you'll get to your research page. Enter keywords, a model number, or other product identifiers into the search bar. As you can see, I've searched Titleist TSR2 10-degree driver. I can choose to select a category if I would like to, but at this point, I just want to see a broader set of results. So I'm just going to click search without selecting a category. I'll go ahead and do that later. From my search, I'm seeing the last 90 days of sold data on eBay, and I can see that this average selling price was $379.47, and it's trending down about 4.4% over the last 90 days. The sold price range for this club was about $270 to $529, with an average shipping charge of about $16, and 21% of the transactions offered free shipping. There were 53 total clubs sold by 44 sellers for a total item sales of $20,000. Now, I think I want to refine my search a little better. So instead of all categories, I want to look just in golf clubs. So I'm going to click on the category selector and I'm going to choose golf clubs. And because my item is used, I only want to see used clubs. And as you can see, the average sold price has changed. I also have the option to choose by listing format too, and it's auction, buy it now, or best offer, but I really don't, that doesn't matter for pricing for me. I just really want to see all of them regardless of the buying format that they were listed in. So after I've done this change, I kind of want to see the trends. So I can click on show trend details, and I can see if there's any seasonality here. I'm only looking at 6 months or 3 months here. I'm going to go back and look at 6 months because I want to see if there's any more seasonality here. So rather than choosing 90 days, I'm going to go up here and edit and choose the last 6 months and see if that changes at all. And the average sold price is a little bit higher for a 6-month period than it was for a 3-month period. And I'm going to go back and look at the trend details and see that it is pretty steady. There are some spikes for the higher priced items, but it is still relatively steady over the last 6 months. And every time you change your duration or your category, all of these numbers are going to change based on the criteria that you have selected. And moving down to the recently sold items, I can see that there's one here that sold for $355, another for $455. But I actually want to know a little more about the one that sold for $550. So I'm going to use this little sort option here on the right-hand side, and I am going to select the highest price. I want to see that $549 one to see if it's actually a match to mine. So I'm going to click on these 3 little dots, and from here I have an option to, in this case, the only thing I can do is exclude the listing because it's more than 90 days old. And so I'm not going to be able to see the detail, but I'm guessing maybe this isn't quite mine. So I'm going to exclude this listing. And then you'll see that it is taken out of the search results. And it didn't change it much, but it changed it a little bit. So let's look at one that was sold a little more recently. And I click on these 3 dots, and I have 3 different types of actions I can take. I can view the item because it was sold less than 90 days ago. I can still exclude this listing, or I can also sell one like this, again, because it was sold less than 90 days ago, or the item is still active because maybe the seller had more than one. So in this case, let's click on View Item, and it will take you to the a page where you can open up and see the original listing. And then I can see if this listing, this $480 club, if it happened to match mine and if it's an apples to apples comparison or not. So in this case, I'm going to choose this one here, this Titleist TSR2 10 degree Ventus red. This seems to match mine. I am going to sell one like this. And I click the sell one like this, and it will create a draft for me, or I can do just like sell one like this within the selling flows too. You can, update your photos, edit the listing, and you can save your draft, or you can publish it if you're done. In this case, I'm going to close it. This is just one of millions of examples, and you can see that product research is a great tool, which you literally now have in your back pocket, that can help you more competitively price your items. And when you're outsourcing, help you in making your buy or not buy decisions. Looks like we actually had more people come in, probably after they were done with other sessions. I like it, David. You might as well hit the flea market. Good. Let's see. Anything else? Okay. Just going back to the Q&A and see if there's any more in here. Good, Pamela. I'm glad the replay helped. Yes, I'm very excited for all to get your feedback. Oh, and one of the things I want to mention, when you do start using it, the first time you'll use it, it'll ask you for your feedback. Please, I beg you, please give us your feedback. That's how we're gonna, understand what more you want in the app. I mean, we have some ideas of what you want in it, but then just help us understand what your experience was as well. So thank you all very, very much, and happy selling.